Hey guys, this is Snake Man, captain of the Dream Harrier, the ship that flies through gaming space. Last month, the Dream Harrier ship took part in a very fun Twitch community project known as DOSember. For the entire month of December, many streamers joined together in celebrating and showcasing DOS gaming. Now, my first family computer had Windows 95, as that was the soonest we could afford such luxury, and I never really got into PC gaming until Quake 2 multiplayer and Unreal Tournament 99. So DOSember was the perfect time for me to both indulge in some games I missed along the way, as well as explore a rarely seen side of DOS gaming on the English web, Korean DOS games. So let's see how that all went. Keep in mind there will be spoilers a bit here and there for these titles. Our first game was one I had a bit of experience with. Even though I didn't get into PC gaming till the 3D FPS multiplayer action, our family bought lots of shareware discs. On those discs, I'd mess around with titles like Wolf 3D, Duke Nukem 2, and of course, Jill the Jungle. Developed by Epic Mega Games and designed by Tim Sweeney. Yes, that Epic and that Tim Sweeney of both Fortnite and whiny Twitter spat fame. Jill the Jungle is a bit of a unique platformer on DOS. You play as the titular hero Jill as you make your way from level to level, collecting gems that allow you to access more levels. Jill can jump, and most levels have some kind of projectile weapon that she can collect and use to defend herself. The game is split into 3 episodes, with the first one being distributed for free as shareware. Each episode has its own unique structure, with the first having a playable overworld of sorts, which connects all the level entrances together. Level entrances are sometimes blocked either by gem doors that require you to collect gems from other stages, locked doors that require keys, or simply walls that require activating a switch. Also in the overworld are these apples, which in the first episode contain humorous jabs at some of Jill's gaming competitors. The second episode, Jill Goes Underground, features longer levels, though now there's less of them. Instead of an overworld, levels lead to the next in a linear fashion. The episodes also start off a decent bit harder than the first. The third episode, Jill Saves the Prince, returns to the overworld connecting levels idea, but instead of the normal Jill side-scrolling gameplay, this is an overhead adventure like seen in Commander Keen 4. This episode also probably contains the most quote-unquote plot, as Jill encounters the Lizardmen, who have taken the land's prince captive, and it's up to Jill to rescue him. Overall, I really enjoyed my time with the Jill the Jungle trilogy. For DOS, the scrolling and platforming felt really good, and the levels themselves kept offering new challenges and intriguing designs that kept me wanting to see what came next. Sound and music was handled by Dan Froelich, and while the music is quite good, it's the wild cacophony of Jill's digital sampled sounds that really takes center stage here. Sadly, Jill Saves the Prince lacks the key sound from the previous 2 episodes, and also has Jill marry some dweeb that she just met at the end, so the overall adventure does kinda end on a sour note. Still, overall very pleased. Next up was originally going to be a variety stream of Korean beat-em-ups for DOS. However, the first one we looked at demanded all of our attention and time. Ajonji Joen El Isang Keel Got Katan Jonyuk is based on the Korean manhwa of the same name by Lee Myung-jin, who would later create the popular manhwa Ragnarok, which in itself would become the basis of the popular MMO Ragnarok Online. Ajonji here is about Gun Non-gung, a kid obsessed with fighting and becoming stronger. His obsession forces him to transfer schools constantly, with his mother pleading him to stop fighting. Sadly, he can't seem to escape the need for battle, but with his deceased dad's words in his head, plus his newfound friendships, Gun begins to discover what real strength really is. Ajanji here is a beat 'em up very much in the fashion of Capcom's iconic offerings. At first it feels extremely limited however, since Gun moves slowly, can barely combo, and can't even throw his opponents. After the first segment however, we get introduced to the shop, and that is where the real magic is. Raising our technical level allows Gun to throw enemies and dash, while giving him access to new combos and moves. We can also raise Gun's max HP here, which is probably the most important upgrade in the game. Power and speed are self-explanatory, however HP recover is the only way to recover health in the game outside of reaching a level in HP max. There's no trash can food here. You do recover health between stages, but stages can be long and pretty daunting. Unlocking the first technical level also adds a ducking mechanic devoted to its own button. Any attack that the game considers high can be ducked, and you can even do special counter moves after a successful duck. Combat is fast, and the juggle system is lenient in a pretty fun way, encouraging you to play around with your moveset. You can also cancel out attacks either into the duck or a jump, which itself has iframes at the beginning of. You'd think with all this power and mobility, we'd be an unstoppable force, right? Wrong. This game is brutally difficult. For starters, you have no lives, and losing all your health forces you to use your continues, which you start with 3, but can purchase more via the level up screen. On top of that, you only start with 1 health bar, and enemies have no trouble devouring that up quickly. You get no iframes upon waking up, and you can even be juggled and multi-hit just like the enemies can. Their attacks also hurt quite a lot on their own, and some enemies have moves with iframes that can blow up some of your combo attempts. This leads to playing really carefully and tepidly, making sure you never overextend on some combos. I really wanted to like this game, but man does the difficulty of the whole affair sour everything. The game also feels incredibly long, and with continues placing you back to the beginning of a level segment, it gets even longer. At some point the bosses become more like brick walls, where you're forced to kind of cheese out a victory instead of playing with the game's mechanics. My successful playthrough of the game had me focusing on leveling HP max, power, and speed first, then spending all my points on continues, leaving technical behind and with it all the cool moves. I find it hard to recommend to anyone but the most die-hard arcade beat-em-up fans. You know, the ones that focus on one credit clears. This is the right amount of sicko for you. At least the music slaps. I actually went and ripped the music and put it on KH Insider for everyone to enjoy. Next up was another Korean DOS title, this time in the mold of the cinematic platformers like Prince of Persia or Flashback. This is Father World. And
Land power. Land power.
So like I said, I've played Another World, but I'm not the greatest at these cinematic platformers, which is what I like to try to get better at. Oh. Oh. Also.
Land power.
I don't have enough time to put my sword. Let's just say I plan to make an entire video devoted to this game, so stay tuned for that. Just know that it took me 12 hours alone just to defeat the final boss. That's the kind of game Father World is. Keeping the train of Korean DOS action going, here we have Astro Counter Crescents, a side-scrolling mech action game developed by Object Square and published by Samsung. Here we play as Lin, a test pilot for an ASCO suit named Balgadung. Troubled by terrible dreams, we awaken to find our base attacked, our teacher murdered, and us framed for it, as well as stealing the mech. The game is very story focused with some very nice anime styled portraits, and lots of talking breaks up the action. It has some decent twists and turns, which helps out a lot. Piloting Balgadung, we have access to some sort of cyber saber, which we can use to charge up for a devastating strike. While we can also jump, this game is mostly focused on combat, making it more of a single screen beat 'em up along the lines of Mad Stalker. Sadly, the extreme difficulty that have been plaguing these Korean DOS games so far rears its ugly head here too. Lin has no iframes after being hit, making it very easy to have an entire health bar drained in an instant from certain enemies. Combined with some questionable hitboxes and attack animations from enemies, and you'll be dying quite a lot. You have 3 lives to make it through a stage, with unlimited continues that start you at the beginning of the stage. Some stages are short, to the point that I didn't even know what the difference between lives and continues were. However, deeper into the game, the stages get quite large, and are usually topped off with a cool looking, but also difficult boss fight. This game, along with Ajanji and the final stretch of Father World, were probably the most stressed out I've been on stream ever. Luckily, the game just oozes style, and that was enough to get me to power through to see what cool mech bosses they throw at me along the way. At some point, the enemy variety does get a bit samey, but then they throw you into the city, where there are corporate cops aplenty to slaughter. The sprite work for the characters, enemies, and the stages are really top notch, and the music also slaps. At some point in the penultimate stage, which was destroying me very badly, I stumbled across a secret developer level. A bright cityscape with a cute hand-drawn sky greeted me, and there I met a series of mini-bosses, each being a different developer from the team. It was a little surreal, but also such a nice welcome change of pace, and it's great to know that the team loved their project this much. Astra Counter can be a super frustrating experience, but its art, style, and story keeps asking you to play more. Stages have lots of gotcha moments, like floating mines that instantly kill you, to spawning enemies out of thin air on top of you, and it really expects you to trial and error your way to learning the stage layouts, as well as mastering the game's controls. Since it has infinite continues, it really comes down to a battle of endurance. So if you're the kind of patient gamer that loves high-speed mech action, sci-fi stories about implanted memories and government cover-ups, or just want to see some cool pixel art, Astra Counter of Crescents is for you. After that trio of obscure Korean DOS games, we come back to a title most would recognize and may have even played themselves. Blackthorn was Blizzard Entertainment's take on the cinematic platformer, forgoing the sci-fi of Another World in flashback and featuring more of a fantastical world. You play as Kyle Blackthorn, former army badass turned mercenary, who has been transported to the world of Tool in order to free the Andrathi people from the tyranny of Sarlacc. Along the way, Kyle learns he's the rightful Andrathi prince, and that there's a Lightstone and a Darkstone, and honestly this manual has 14 pages of intro story before the game even starts. The writers were seriously cooking on this one. As typical of cinematic platformers, Kyle's movements are slow but deliberate. He can jump across large pits, climb up and down ledges, and he can roll to avoid danger. He comes equipped with a big-ass rifle, which he uses to shoot down the orc-like Kadra and other enemies in his way. He even has a button dedicated to giving the good old no-look shoddy. Truly, he is the coolest character. Kyle can also find or be given a number of helpful items such as bombs to blow open doors, potions to heal with, keys to activate bridges and switches, plus a cool levitator item and explosive remote control wasps that he can use to solve puzzles. The game's structure is level-based, with each level having a password like in Flashback. You also have no checkpoints in a level, and some do get decently long, but having knowledge of the level lets you usually blow through the parts you need to redo. I actually think the biggest issue is the combat. Kyle can pull out his gun and duck into the background in order to avoid damage. Every enemy has like a certain rhythm you need to figure out before popping out of cover to shoot them. Later on, the orcs' tells become less frequent, and shooting them comes down more to a guess over reactions. The rogue Andrathis are also a huge pain in the ass. Overall, the combat can just feel a bit random and slows the pace down immensely. Overall though, this game is quite the treat. Dark moody levels, atmospheric music, and punchy sound effects give this game quite the edge. Despite me bemoaning its combat, Blackthorn also manages to end with a really satisfying boss fight. This is a big recommendation from me, and I suggest you play it however you can. It was developed for the Super Nintendo and PC first, then later received Mac and 32X ports with different pre-rendered graphics. I've also been told it's on Blizzard's arcade pack thing, but giving money to Blizzard in this day and age isn't really something I jive with. But however you can play the game is fine by me. We took a little break from the full playthroughs to duck into the world of edutainment. Cursed edutainment, that is. I looked at a trio of cursed games, and one that really wasn't cursed but kept crashing, so in a way it was. We started with the duo of Word-A-Rama and Spell-A-Rama from Selena Studios for Windows 3.1. In Word-A-Rama, we had to play the worst game of Candyland in order to get the magic lamp for a genie.
Hi there, I got a problem. Will you help? I'm mortified. I mean a big guy like me, and they give me this perfume bottle to live in. My palace is great as you can see, only the best. But when Dimitri, the sky giant, stole my golden lamp, this here perfume bottle is all I got. I've got to find that fiend Dimitri, but the weather just isn't always that great. Will you come along and help me get my lamp back? Click on my carpet, and we're off!
In Spell-A-Rama, we had to explore the underground cave system of New York City in order to get some fly back his key. Oh no! Disaster! The second fly is... No, I'm not doing that joke.
Oh, what do you think you're doing? Lady flyers shouldn't be allowed in the air. Oh, no, 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 no.
Casual misogyny.
My key is gone. Now see what you've done? It must have fallen in the underground caves. Will you kids come and help me find it before time runs out?
Both featured strange and bizarre characters who would challenge you to match words or spell words or unscramble words, everything words. They both only go up to grade 3, so I have a hard time figuring out if any of this is educational. The bizarre characters also had terrible voice acting.
Thunder Drama is my name. Making noise is my game. See the pictures on each drum? Now Joy Genie, let's have some fun.
Hi there. So I've got something sweet for you. Just answer these 3 questions correctly and my honey is yours. Then you can take it to King Mantis.
I'll think of a word. Then I will scramble up the letters. Rearrange the letters to spell that word. Use the mouse to drag and drop the letters. Oh, and it better be the word that I have in mind.
Oh, glad to see you. My problem is that I've gotten exceedingly large. Along with that, I am a bit lazy. It happens when you're my size. Will you help feed me?
You better turn down the electricity for a safe passage. Put out all the little bright guys for a safe passage. As long as they're awake, there may be a chance of lightning.
Look, Lonnie, I love most of your work, but this ain't it. After playing these games, I felt like I too have become cursed, and will soon meet a terrible fate. As a palate cleanser, I took some requests from the chat, with the first one being Zoo Explorers, Zoopolis. I have nothing bad to say about this one. It seems like a cute, educational game for kids to learn about animals. Has some cute jams, including an intro rap.
Hey, check it out, this place, so make a shout, it's Zoopolis! It's Zoopolis! It's hip, it's quite the scene, if you're purple or you're green in Zoopolis! It's Zoopolis!
And features lots of clickable multimedia fun to keep a child busy. Sadly, it was cursed in that it used QuickTime 1.1, and anytime a video played, it would crash in DOSBox. Works fine in PCM or real hardware, so I'd go that route. The last of the requests is the infamous I Am Mean. Developed by Animation Magic, the team behind the animations in the CDI Zelda titles, I Am Mean starts with a wonderful musical number detailing I Am Mean's magic book, which traps annoying children into a labyrinth.
Clever children. See them study, watch them learn. How I hate those goody-goodies. How they make my stomach turn. I've got a little secret that'll really make them cry. It's a nasty kind of magic from a special kind of guy.
Unfortunately for Mean, his assistant seems to get cold feet regarding the whole capturing and torturing children plan, and sets you free with the goal being to rescue all the other children trapped inside. The whole game can be controlled via mouse, but screw that. Once you find the keyboard controls, you're off speeding down corridors, rapidly punching everything in your way like you're the fist of the North Star. The educational parts come in the form of special doors that usually require you to fix grammar errors. Honestly, they feel pretty detached from the game as a whole, but they are a welcome change of pace sometimes. I think I want to return to the world of I Am Mean, and maybe check out its sister game, Chill Manor. Honestly, I had a great time with this.
Okay, bookworm. Now you're really starting to annoy me. Get back to your cell before I turn you into a chipmunk.
The last major game completion of DOSember was the iconic Flashback, The Quest for Identity, from Paul Cuisset and Delphine Software International. Delphine was actually Eric Chahi's former employer before he made Another World in '91 and left them. Before that, he had worked on Future Wars, whose engine would become the basis of Flashback. Coming out a year after Another World and using his previous work as the base feels a little reactionary from Delphine, but I'm not really sure about the particulars or if any bad beef happened. Like Another World, Flashback is a sci-fi cinematic platformer with flat-shaded polygon people. It starts off with quite a bang as our character Conrad escapes some kind of prison hold and steals a hoverbike only to be shot down over the jungle. Conrad has none of his memories, but a holocube that he dropped when crashing contains a message from himself, telling him to go find someone named Ian. Our first stage is the jungle, which is very good at introducing you to how combat and platforming work. Just don't be a dummy like me and not read the control part of the manual, lest you get stumped by an elevator like I was forever. After trekking through the jungle, we save Ian from the police and he downloads a copy of our memory back into our brain. Turns out that we had discovered that there were aliens disguised as humans infiltrating our world, and before we could blow the whistle on that, we were taken captive and had our mind wiped. Now our goal is to make it back to Earth and uncover this conspiracy. Conrad is equipped with a pistol and energy shield, which lets him take 4 hits total before the next hit becomes fatal. Movement felt very different from what I was used to for this genre, and the first VOD was mostly me in the jungle stage coming to grips with the controls. Luckily, I managed to get the hang of them, and started really having a blast. Conrad can jump really far, as well as he has some moments where he'll jump automatically to a higher ledge if he's been running for a while. He can also roll while he has his gun out, and you get a couple items later on that can help with combat, like the force field watch, which lets you pop up a little wall for a split second, just long enough to eat a shot from an enemy. Stages are broken up via passwords, but unlike Blackthorn, they also have mid-stage save points that you can use in order to continue if you die. These are very helpful as some stages are long, but for a good reason. The stages are also diverse, with each having their own unique feel. Right after the jungle, you make it to a city and have to do odd jobs like deliver a parcel or stop the whole colony from blowing up in order to make enough money to forge an ID. You need an ID so you can get into a deadly game show a la Running Man, where the prize features a ticket to Earth. The pacing is very well done, mixing puzzle with platforming with combat. It all feels really concise and whole. That is, till the final stage of the game, which takes place on the aliens' home planet. This stage has a lot of combat, with a new enemy type being this gooey alien. They are extremely agile, can slide up walls, crawl on ceilings, they have projectile blasts, but also a very quick and large melee. It can be hard just to manage one of these, but sometimes the game throws multiple of them. They're probably the only blemish I felt while playing this title. The rest of the stages are very good, with neat puzzles, you have 2 little boss fight encounters at the end, and an exciting escape sequence where the game trolled me by hiding the lift I needed to escape. Somehow every cinematic platformer I've tackled for the stream, minus Fatherworld, has been excellent, and I don't quite understand the disdain for the genre as a whole. For the longest time, I've always been told that these games are impossible to control with inscrutable designs, and checking out these games early on as a kid, just sightseeing through these games, yeah, I guess I can understand where they're coming from. But when you buckle down and learn how to play them, it's almost like learning a romance language. It gives you a jump start with all the other similar languages. Playing them just becomes so satisfying, and what they do from storylines to puzzles to platforming and set pieces, they just feel really unique, and I wonder why there aren't that many modern attempts at these. I've only ever heard bad things about Flashback 2013 and its 2023 follow-up, Flashback 2. Luckily, a few chatters recommended Lunark to me, which is supposed to be sick and is definitely on my wish list right now. The final DOSember stream was actually delayed to January 1st, but it featured playthroughs of 3 short CGA platformers: Mega Man 1, Mega Man 3, and El Capitan Trueno. There isn't a whole lot to talk about regarding these games, so I just recommend watching their VODs, considering how short and lean these are. There were also a few other streams in DOSember, like a Christmas special featuring the likes of Jack in the Box and Jazz Jackrabbit Holiday Hair. Overall, I had a wonderful DOSember, met lots of cool people along the way, and even picked myself up this lovely NEC Ready with an AMD K62. I'm ready for some real hardware DOS adventures moving forward. I did definitely schedule way too many games and spread myself way too thin at times, which caused me to become stressed out partway through the month. Plus, I had no idea what I was getting myself into when I signed up for Fatherworld. Despite that, this was an amazing experience, and would like to do it again next year. Perhaps more games on real hardware, and maybe some non-DOS titles for the holidays like Hybrid Heaven, just to break it up. I want to thank you all for watching. If you'd like to see more about these games, check out the DOSember 2023 playlist on this channel. If you like this video, please press that like button and subscribe here for more stream VODs, as well as produced videos such as this one. I've got a future Fatherworld video planned, and you can expect to see more like this in the near future. This has been Snake Man, signing out. Take it easy, friends.